Well, here we are, I said, pulling up the Lonan to our old home. We got out, and I unstrapped the case. I'd better leave this up for you, I said. Thanks, she replied, without a smile.
The haze of the Sunday stillness lay like a veil on the countryside, spreading to the west horizon. Fields lost themselves where the haze was the colour of cigarette smoke blue. Nearer, on the far hillsides, cabins clung like swallows to eaves under spavins of rock. A cock crowed, another answered. A church bell pealed from the town, an aesthetic sound in this peace. Then a breeze nudged up and touched her hair in the passing to a field of oats on our left, where the grains fidgeted to make a rustling music. And because it was Sunday, the feeling of attention among the grain fields quickened the air with the mystical presence of harvest.
Now Detta walked behind me, for the briars left only a path in the centre of the Lonan. I wondered if it frightened her to think of times when this Lonan was spruce and well trimmed, to think of her people coming home from Mass, her father in navy blue and white shirt with a black silk scarf knotted in an X on his chest, of her mother in the dark grey shawl all women wore then, over aprons glinting like black satin.
Farther on, at a break in the hedge, I startled a horse. I bolted across the field, kicked up its heels, and a shadow flashed in the sunlight. And when I realized I was walking alone, I knew Dita was watching that horse. Coming up, she said, "That show-blind reminded me of something. Guess I can't remember thought." And I hadn't the courage to tell her that her father had been kicked in the head by a horse.
Across a rise of rocky land, before us the house lay, but still out of sight. We could, however, see the tops of the trees in the haggard, thronged with broody crows, which reminded one of dead fruit. The Lonan wasn't fenced at the bend. There were no briars, only the caked mud, and I let Detta go ahead. Without hesitation, she went on briskly, eagerly. A few paces on, she stopped, on one foot. She had seen the house.
The room had caved in, but a shattered purloin still projected from the kitchen gable, and here a jackdaw sat preening its feathers. The kitchen roof was up, but the thatch had sagged with the age to the colour and shape of a mangy dog. It was years since I'd seen the place, and the sight stunned me.
Detta's eyes were closed and her lips quivered. Watching her, a moment of helpless panic gave me an uncanny impression, as if feeling had fallen dead within her. Suddenly she was laughing, next moment crying, becoming hysterical. Before I could speak, she broke into a run, like a mother to a lost child. As she reached the street, near an old box, a dog plunged at her, but was jerked back by a chain. Adding to the clamour, a hen flew over the half door of the kitchen and went squawking across the edge. Detta ran into the house. I was at the door when I heard her father.
Well, that clear to me sins.
Once I recall that favourite expression of his.
Clear to me sins, I never heard you come in at all. Who have I?
A partition of stone hid him from my view, but beyond the threshold I could see Detta looking up the kitchen, horror in her eyes. I was so certain she was going to scream that I dropped the case and hurried in. And then I saw her father. He was trudging towards her, a pitiable and repulsive figure. His boots were unlaced, and he wore a torn bag around his shoulders like a cape. Tied under his beard was a grass rope. He stopped then to peck a maggot of blear from between his eyes and nose, besmirching his face, for his hand was ass-gloved. The house, too, was filthy. On one corner, chaff spilled from a shakedown bed. In the other, under the window, half covered with cardboard, a hen lay nesting among old coats.
I'm never the same.
He was saying, feeling a long scar on his brow.
Since the kick of the horse. Me sight went, you know. But I can tell the people I can that.
Backing away from him, Detta kept switching glances to the walls.
And do you know, ma'am, ho, I know it's a woman I have. I can smell the stuff on her face. But do you know, ma'am, there's nothing but a streel of strangers like yourself coming and going, long sore journeys, to ask about my Detta, a fine lady, ma'am. Get out the hell out of that with your cat.
Detta swiped towards the feeble dresser. There was no cat there, not in the house. Detta was now against the gable wall. He came trudging on. He took her arm. She was speechless.
Come now, ma'am, till I show you the pride of me heart. Them's Detta's pictures on the wall. Devil the sea I can see, but sure I know them half by heart.
She allowed him to draw her towards the side wall. Once her throat rippled as if she had swallowed a raw liquor. She watched him point to a gouged spot in the whitewash. Beside it was a photograph clipped from American Sunday newspaper supplement.
There's Detta talking to the Lord Mayor of all Yankee land, ma'am. Jimmy DeLay put them up for me.
I knew Jemmy DeLay, a fellow whose uncouth intellect fed on sarcastic wit and irony. In the photo, Detta saw herself toasting cocktails with a Fonderville character who, I recalled, had since been found dead in a toilet of a New York nightclub.
And over there, ma'am.
This time he pointed to an old waistcoat hanging on a nail and dragged her beside it.
Over there is Detta singing in the New York Tivoli to all Yankee land, man ye.
Alongside the rag of a waistcoat, Detta saw a publicity photo of herself doing what I believe they call mid-air splits. The walls were plastered with them, some stained with the rusty leakage of thatch, some apparently from freelance cameramen who knew she was worth the space. A few were somewhat indiscreet, but he took her round them all.